Well, Marty, the drama and intensity is about to escalate even more as they're getting set for NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying to start here momentarily. This is especially important for the Bubble Boys, where you start at Richmond, because they know they have one race to make it into the chase.
Richmond's always crazy. You know, it's awesome.
Something between the stadium lights and the night, it just creates this vibe and this energy that you can't really explain, but you know is there.
I like everything about it. I like the layout, I like the shape, I like the way it races.
It's a very tricky racetrack. You know, there's no perfect setup. You got to compensate. You got to find that happy medium.
The atmosphere at Richmond in the fall is pretty complicated because of the whole chase scenario. You're kind of worried about who you're racing with. Is this a guy that's in? Is this a guy that's out? Is this a guy looking to be in?
Everybody wants to be in the chase. That's the time that you have to make it. You have to do it.
Time may be running out, though, for Kyle Busch. He might need to win yet again here at Richmond just to get in the chase. Brian Vickers tasted victory at Michigan, but still sits 20 points shy of that first ever postseason berth. Matt, Mr. Consistency Kenseth has never missed a chase. Can he hold on to that 12th and final transfer spot? And what about the Biff, Greg Biffle? He may need to hold his breath for some postseason luck after slipping down to 11th in points following last week's race at Atlanta. The drama is building and the heat is on here at Richmond International Raceway. Why? Because only 105 points separate 5th all the way down to 13th in the standings. Now, for more on the bubble, let's go down to Dave Burns.
Doc, you mentioned Brian Vickers and the fact that he has to try to race his way in. A good starting spot would really help, but as we approach qualifying here, we notice that Brian Vickers' times in practice were not all that stellar. The team tells me, don't worry about it. We're okay in race trim. We're not sure what we've got for qualifying, but we'll be okay. Same goes for Kyle Busch. He's got to try to race his way and get past Vickers and into the top 12. As far as his runs today, also not stellar on the timesheets. Times that would make you turn around and go, wow, these guys have got it figured out. But again, the 18 team, not worried. Watch them at qualifying, and we'll see where it pans out. Shannon Spake.
Dave, another driver on the bubble here this weekend is Mark Martin. He's 10th in the standings, 69 points to the good. Now, Martin spent the entire happy hour practice in qualifying trim. I spoke to Martin after practice, and he told me that that was by design. That was their plan all along. He said he would love to get a top 5 starting position here at Richmond. I also asked him, what has the pressure been like this weekend? He said, I've definitely had less pressure, but I've certainly had more. Now, Mark Martin has had 4 top 10 finishes at the short tracks this season, and if he continues that trend this weekend, well, he could find himself on the top of the chase standings going into Loudon. Doc?
Thank you very much, Shannon. Along with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us for live coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying. Now, folks, the actual last race of the chase doesn't run until tomorrow night, but many of the crews in the garage area will tell you and tell us that what happens right now is critical to their chances. Guys, why is it so important to start up front at Richmond?
Well, the biggest thing is kind of mental. You don't want to be catching up or playing catch-up right off the bat, and tonight is a big night. I mean, qualifying is a big deal. Starting position is important, too. A short track like Richmond is hard to pass on, and you want to try to get as far up as you can, but you don't want to try to force anything, especially early, and get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, pit selection's important, but as you said, Andy, it's more that mental aspect of going through the night, knowing that you didn't get that effort in that you wanted to, that you have to sit around tomorrow waiting for that long afternoon to go through until you can actually try to make up some spots if you didn't have that good qualifying effort. So these guys have really put a lot of effort into it, and hopefully it will pay off. We know it's going to be a great race tomorrow night, but I think this qualifying could be as exciting an event as what we've seen in quite a while.
Talk about luck being important in racing. Luck's important in qualifying. What about the luck of the draw?
Yeah, the luck of the draw. I mean, it's the sun is behind some clouds here a little bit right now. Part of the track's shaded, but these guys that got in these first 15 spots, they're really at a disadvantage of going out here early. So the ones that drew later on have a lot better chance as this racetrack cools down to get in that lap they need. So that's nothing they can really do anything about. It just happened.
They can't change it, so why worry about it? They got to go out here and lay down a lap.
And the guy that's going to go out first has had abysmal luck, not only at the track, but away from the track. There is the hobbling Carl Edwards, 2 broken broken bones in his right foot from a friendly, what's turned violent game of Frisbee last week, and he was able to endure at Atlanta. Now he will get in the car and be the first to go out. If you just joined our coverage, by the way, Carl qualified 39th for the NASCAR Nationwide race coming up later tonight. We'll have all the coverage coming your way from Richmond International Raceway. I mentioned the NASCAR Nationwide Series event. That's coming up next here on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And then tomorrow night, live flag-to-flag coverage of the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond on ABC, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick, Brad, Rusty Walsh, and all the gang. And, of course, NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, and tomorrow night at 11:30.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying is brought to you by Beatles Rock Band, available now.
Just moments away from rolling the first car, but first some breaking news from here at Richmond. It was released moments ago that the crew chief for the 2 car, Pat Tryson, will be leaving that car, and his driver Kurt Busch at the end of the season. Now here's what Kurt Busch had to say moments ago inside the media center.
Yeah, it's a change that's going to happen. It's unfortunate that Pat made that type of decision. It seems as if our focus right now should be really on the chase and making it into the chase. So it was a tough week for that type of news. And so that's really where my focus is, no matter who I'm working with or communicating with. We've got to get the Miller Lite Dodge in the chase and get it off to a great start once we do that.
Now, there is Kurt reflecting on the news that came out just about a half an hour ago. Now, it is Pat Tryson's decision. It was on his own that he wanted to leave, and there's a lot of speculation, DJ, as to where he may be headed.
Yeah, we've heard a number of different things, but the one name that keeps coming up is go to Michael Waltrip Racing and be the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr. there. So that seems like maybe it has more substance than some others.
Yeah, wherever it is, it's probably a done deal. He
yeah,
already
it's definitely done.
Leaving. So,
yeah.
Well, what does that do to him now? He sits over there sort of all alone in a number of different ways as far as them trying to be effective and successful in the chase.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, when you have a change like that, and I see exactly what Kirk's talking about. This is really bad timing to announce that. You know, the chase coming up, they're going to have a great chance of winning another championship for Kirk. You know, I understand that frustration. It is a tough time timing-wise, but, you know, sometimes you can't control that.
Carl has climbed in his car. He'll be the first car to go out, and there were 44 cars here, folks. Only one will not make it. We mentioned that Carl Edwards did qualify 39th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race coming up at 7 o'clock. Carl has started on the front row here twice, and remarkably, as good as he has been on short tracks at this place or running, he has never had a top 5 finish at Richmond.
That's kind of hard to believe, but the other stat to me that's hard to believe is he does not have a pole or a win in 2009, and that's just incredible to me that somebody this talented with a great team has not got any better results or stats than that this year.
And both of those things are going to be harder to come by with a broken right foot here in these last 11 races.
Only one Ford pole in the entire 2009 season and 2 Ford wins, and they all came from the same driver, Matt Kenseth. Let's see what Cousin Carl can do. First car to go out, and as you heard Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie say, it's going to get cooler, and that's going to be better track conditions for the guys that go back about 15th on back. We'll see what kind of times and speeds Carl can put up.
Now, turns 3 and 4 are pretty much shaded right now, so that hasn't been too bad. But 1 and 2 has a lot of sunlight on it, and it's just been sitting there since the nationwide qualifying was over.
21:53. That's a pretty good lap, though.
This is quite a bit. It's already quite a bit cooler than what it was when they were practicing in the middle of the afternoon. So I think we're going to see speeds a lot different than what we saw in practice.
Yeah, that's 3/10 quicker than he ran all afternoon. His best laps if he can pick it up next time by.
Yeah, he does. 21:46. Good lap for Carl Edwards.
I think we'll see that with most cars and most drivers picking up, unless they have something that they are doing a little bit different air pressure wise. Most we'll see pick up a little bit on that second lap.
Let's go down and visit with Brian Vickers. Dave.
And getting some final instructions from his crew chief down here just for a moment, Ryan Pemberton. Ryan backs away for us. Thank you, sir. The best you guys could do on a 1-lap time in practice was 21st. Your team told me not to worry. What is critical for you in qualifying?
Just getting a good lap. We were really rushed there at the end. We focused on race trim. when we started out practice, we were trying some stuff that didn't work out. We had to go back to something we were used to, and felt pretty good about the race package there the last couple runs. We really did. But then we were running short on qualifying trim, so it was kind of a rush job. We missed a little bit of it, had a little too much nose weight. The car was a little tight, so we took that back out. Hopefully we should be close to where we were in the spring, and hopefully it'll work out the same.
Which was a pole, I think, Doc.
Indeed it was. He was on the pole here back in May. He also won a pole here back in 2005. Let's see what Bobby Labonte could do. Coming off an 18th place finish at Atlanta, trying to make his 570th consecutive start.
He just virtually tied his practice speed on that first lap. Expect this second lap to be quicker.
As you can see, yeah, he does pick up, and he's back in the 96 car this week after a great run in that 71 car at Atlanta.
Hey, he kept his streak alive, his start streak at 570. That was good to see that he didn't miss a race last week.
So now it'll be 571. Let's go down and visit with Carl. Shannon.
Well, Carl Edwards just climbed out of his car, gingerly climbed out of his car, I might add. Now, we spoke with you last week after the Atlanta race. You did say you had to adjust some things at that track. Heavy braking track here at Richmond. What have you had to do inside the car to adjust for your broken foot?
I just have to make sure I brake with my left foot. I ran into the back of Jimmy Johnson in the garage today. He stopped, and I had my left foot on the clutch, and I thought I'll just try it with my right foot, and I ran right into him. So, man, this Afterlife Fusion's pretty fast. I don't know what that'll hold up for, but a 21:46 is a lot faster than I went in practice, and pretty excited about it. Not really having any issues in the car, and we had a little trouble with the Nationwide car, but we got it figured out before the race starts, and that's good.
And Carl Edwards will be in the Nationwide race. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on ESPN2 tonight.
Carl's going to try to pull off the doubleheader. He's still in the point standings in Nationwide second, and there's the injured foot. As you watch Clint Boyer, now the reigning Nationwide Series champion, trying to get his car possibly on the front row here, or has it on the front row right now, but on the pole.
Yeah, 21:51. He picks up from practice as well, but couldn't beat Carl Edwards.
Clint is one of 6 drivers that won a race a year ago, but has not won in 2009. And his race win last year came right here at Richmond back on May the 3rd, and that was 51 races ago. Look at his average finish here. He is very good at this 3/4 mile racetrack.
Yeah, he does an excellent job on these type tracks. Really gets the car set up where he can get off the corners, and as shown here with his win and his other finishes.
Here's Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. We talked about turning your season around. Wow, Kevin Harvick finished second last week at Atlanta. It had been a long time since Kevin had led a race or had a top 5 finish.
And and the second place was really a little disappointing for him because he had such a good car in the long runs. It turned out that it didn't have a long run at the end, and so he did settle for second. But he had a great car, and if they keep that up, they're going to win some soon.
And that'll be third quickest here on his first lap, 21:78.
He's flirting with the pole down the backstretch, though. Tracking in the green. Loses just a little bit off of turn 4.
Got a little bit wide right there, but a good lap.
1/1000th of a second slower than his teammate, Clint Boyer.
Let's go down and talk to Greg Biffle. Dave.
Also on the bubble, Negan, good qualifying run. Greg, 15th in final practice. How good's your race car for qualifying?
Well, I think it's pretty good. You know, we just wish we could get some of these clouds like some of these other guys got. But, you know, 3 and 4 diffusion running good this weekend. We're happy about that. New little bit of suspension package. I think we can qualify in the top 15.
If you look upstairs there is a lot of cloud cover. It's just not over the track right now, guys.
Yeah, right now, Dave, we got sun virtually over the whole track. We have shade over in the middle of 3 and 4, and that's just because of the grandstands and the wall. 1 and 2's got a lot of sun on it right now.
So even a small cloud or a little bit of shade does make a difference at any racetrack.
It's all about grip here at Richmond, and anything you can do to lower that track temperature will give you more grip.
Paul Menard qualified 3rd for the Nationwide race later tonight. Let's see what he can do in the Cup car. Best start of this year was 5th at Texas. Made his 100th career start last week at Atlanta Motor Speedway as a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver.
Came close to the wall off turn 4 right there.
2 identical laps, virtually. A couple thousandths of a second different.
Right now, it's Carl Edwards on the pole with Boyer, Harvick, Bobby Labonte, and Menard. But coming up, we got some potent drivers. How about Michael Waltrip in a Toyota? Denny Hamlin and Brian Vickers. Qualifying ongoing here at Richmond International Raceway. And we'll see if the Toyotas in Cup can do what the Toyotas in the NASCAR Nationwide Series did earlier in qualifying. It's an all-Toyota front row, by the way, there as Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch are on the front row. We'll see what Michael Waltrip can do.
Yeah, Michael struggled a lot in our practice sessions earlier. See if he's made some changes to help this Napa Toyota.
Yeah, we're just looking at our stats here on Michael Waltrip. 44 races that he's run here. Only 2 top 10 finishes. So this is not one of Michael's better tracks. A lot better lap here going on the second lap, though.
Sorry, Andy. I was just going to mention, remember, next year he is going to run a limited schedule. He may not be at a lot of these events. This might be his final time in a Cup car in quite some time at Richmond.
Does pick it up to a 21.87 on that second lap, and that'll move him just ahead of Paul Menard.
So Carl Edwards picked up about 0.4 of a second from his best practice lap. Everyone picking up a little bit as it cools off. And you see Michael headed back to the garage area. Next car to go out will be Denny Hamlin, the local boy. Hamlin is the pole sitter for tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race and has led the most laps in Cup here in 2 of the last 3 races, but is yet to win. Has led over 500 laps here in a Cup car.
Sometimes you want something just so bad that you're trying to make it happen, and it just doesn't. He's done, as you said, everything but win a race here, but he could change that this weekend. This could be the person that wins both of this Friday and Saturday night.
Locked himself into the chase at Atlanta with a 6th place finish. His 5th straight top 10 and 9th in the last 11 races.
Really got through turn 3 good that lap.
That's a good first lap right here. It's going to be on the pole. It's going to beat Carl Edwards, 21.42. Most people are picking up on this second lap, so we'll see what Denny does. You can see well into the green in 1 and 2.
Yeah, man, that thing's carrying a ton of speed through the center of the corner, and that you can see how much that means down the back straightaway. He gets off of this corner again.
He was lucky enough to get a little bit of a cloud, too, so the track was a little cooler.
Runs faster.
Yeah, wow. 21.32, good lap.
So Hamlin is a 2-time pole sitter and now trying to become a 3-time pole sitter at Richmond. Shannon.
Kevin Harvick coming off a tremendous weekend last weekend at Atlanta. You had a very strong Cup ride going, top 5 finish. Anything transfer from last week to this week here at Richmond?
Well, I think other than confidence, probably not a whole lot. But Michelle Pennzoil guys have been doing great. You know, we got something to show for the way our cars have been running last week. And our car's really good in race trim. Missing something on the qualifying side in the Cup car.
Oh, he just almost got hit by Denny Hamlin.
He always likes to miss. Just missing a little bit on the qualifying side, but the cars are both really good in race trim.
At least these guys can have fun down here, almost hitting each other. It's all laps until someone gets hit, right, Doc?
It is. You got to dodge them on the racetrack and on pit road. Here's Brian Vickers out. Now, he has got more poles than anybody in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition this year. 6 times he's been on the pole, including this race back in May.
He's got to pull something out if he's going to do it today. Hadn't shown it in practice. And that first lap is 21.66. That's by far the fastest lap he's run today.
Well, let's see if he can pick it up. He's on pace, picking it up a little bit here. Got through 1 and 2 really good and down the back straightaway.
He's got a shot at it here. Still only a half a tenth behind.
Much better than what he practiced, though. They have to be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, 2nd place, 21.38. Great lap for Brian Vickers.
Nice job.
Remember, Vickers is on the bubble, just 20 points away from the final transfer spot, and we talked about how critical it is to start toward the front here on Saturday night. Let's go down and talk to our provisional pole sitter, Shannon.
Well, Denny Hamlin just talking over his race car. It looks pretty good, but my question for you is you're locked into the chase. This is your hometown. We know how badly you want to win here. How dangerous does that make you today, Denny? Or tomorrow, I'm sorry, in the Cup race?
Yeah, extremely dangerous. I think, I mean, everyone knows, we know how to run up front up here. It's just a matter of getting everything to peak at the right time during the race. And, we figured with the draw that we have, a top 7 start was going to be a good accomplishment for us. So we pretty happy with that right now. So, we were a little tight. I feel like we definitely could have been better, but, we weren't, and that's it's still a decent enough lap for us.
Denny Hamlin already has 1 pole today in the Nationwide Series, guys. He's looking for his first win at his home track here at Richmond in the Cup Series.
Right now still sitting on the pole here in Cup, trying to sweep both poles in one day. Here's Casey Mears, who logged a top 10 finish, finished 9th here back in the Sprint Cup race in May.
Yeah, that first lap was a 22.18. Some of these guys might even halfway throw away that first lap, not to get too much heat in the tires, but knowing that second lap's going to be better. But Casey's still struggling some. He picks it up a little bit. 21.83 puts him in 7th right now.
So 9 cars have gone out thus far. It is still Denny Hamlin, Brian Vickers, and right now, just like it was in Nationwide, guys, we've got a couple of Toyotas on the front row.
They seem to have maybe what looks like a really good engine package for here. It's good pretty much everywhere that they go, but it seems that they might have that power band right in the right spot here.
Here's the 2 car of Kurt Busch coming out to qualify. If you just joined our coverage, we mentioned that about half an hour ago it was released that Pat Trice and his crew chief would be leaving this team at the end of the year, and Kurt was a little concerned about the distractions that may cause as they move into the chase. But right now his focus is on getting this 2 car qualified and getting that blue deuce to victory lane tomorrow night.
Yeah, they have to first get into the chase. So that's after last week's adventure at Atlanta, they found themselves in that position of not being locked in. They've got to really race and race well tomorrow night.
Now, his worst finish of 09 was last week at Atlanta, 38. So, yeah, he's wanting to rebound from that big time. He didn't really want to be in this position, but 21.70, that's a pretty good first lap. Let's see what he's got here. Looks like he's tracking about 4th quickest, 21.50.
So Kurt Busch is in. What about some of the other guys that are on or around the bubble as they get set to qualify? We told you it's very important at Richmond to start toward the front of the field. So coming up, the Biff goes out for a couple laps. How about Juan Pablo Montoya and Kyle Busch? On the track to qualify, last week's pole sitter at Atlanta, Martin Truex, trying to get his Chevy. Another pole, maybe the 3rd of the year. He led the most laps at Atlanta a week ago.
Yeah, he had a funny race last week, really. I mean, he sat on the pole, looked, unbeatable for a while, leading the most laps, like you said, Doc. But then all of a sudden, he couldn't run, and he finished 26. Just kind of a weird race. But that whole Atlanta race was kind of up and down. But you see right here, he's got a great lap going. It's like he's going to try to make it 2 in a row.
His best start here. Best start here was 3rd in 08, and he won't do better than that.
Yeah, he'll knock those Toyotas off the top.
Away. Sticky on the pole.
I think so.
How about that for Martin Truex Jr.? Let's go down to Dave.
With Mark Martin now, and I know that time was just bested, but you had a very quick car in practice, Mark. How about the pole tonight?
I don't know, it all depends on the sun and how the car reacts, what kind of lap you get. It's really close. Everybody is pretty close, and you'll just have to see what kind of lap you get.
How big a cloud do you need?
Well, I don't know, Might not need one. I don't know. It depends on how it affects the car and the way the car's handling and everything else. So, really, we got a good car. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's race. I think we're in pretty good shape.
Would that be something to post quick time without a cloud, Doc?
Yeah, he's been good all year. 5 poles. He may not need a cloud. He may not need much else with just his right foot in that car. Let's see what Greg Biffle can do here. He struggled at this racetrack with no top 10s in the last 5 races, so he needs to start toward the front.
Yeah, that's an 8th quickest on that first lap, 21.60.
He's not tracking to be a little much better. Now it's showing a little pickup through 3 and 4. So he is going to hopefully pick it up here for him. 0.03 of a second, but it doesn't move him off of 8th spot.
Remember, Biffle won the first and second races of the chase a year ago, winning both at New Hampshire and Dover, and now he's just trying to hang on and stay in the chase. Let's go down and chat with Kurt Busch. Shannon.
Well, Kurt Busch just climbed out of his race car. The news out of the 2 camp today, though, is that Pat Trice will not be returning next season. Sorry, watch yourself. You did say that it's the timing that you're most upset about. How do you think that this announcement will affect the rest of your season, Kurt?
Well, we have our work cut out for us still to make the chase, and obviously that's what so once we get into the chase, Pat's still going to be with us, and we need to utilize him for his experience level to help us. And, if we find ourselves not in contention, then we need to move on. And so those are those issues. But today we got to get the car qualified, which we did okay. Nothing spectacular. That's exactly what we need to do this weekend.
What about race trim? How do you think this car will race tomorrow night?
That's where we spend most of our hard time, and so it's just a matter of trying to get the car to work into itself after 40 laps on a set of tires. So that's where we feel a bit more confident.
Good luck to you this weekend. Kurt, 7th in the points, guys.
Thank you, Shannon. Juan Pablo Montoya on the track. He was the fastest car in the final practice session, but not now.
Now, he doesn't get the cloud that everybody's talking about. He gets full sunshine on the track for his run. And it does seem like it makes a difference. I mean, we've seen that so far.
This racetrack is so sensitive to that sunlight, and just heating up a little bit, you lose grip. And it's something about it as a race driver. You see that sun beating down on there. You're mad because 2 cars in front of you, they had a cloud and it wasn't shining right then. So it's just one of those things. It works on you mentally, and it works on the race car as far as the amount of grip you have.
Guys, what a difference a year has made for Juan Pablo Montoya. Look at how this team has just totally changed from a year ago.
Yeah, that's just a radical change from last year. But, you know, Brian Patty's come on board, and it's really gelled that relationship between Montoya and Brian Patty, and it really makes a difference on the track.
Well, the heat is on for Kyle Busch, who slipped back to 14th in the point standings, 37 points out of the chase. He knows he's got to come here and do what he did in May, and that's spank him. But he also needs to lead a lot of laps. We'll see where he starts.
Now, he's got full sunshine, too, so we'll see what he can do with this track with a little bit of heat in it.
He didn't get the best draw, and the way things have turned out, there was some clouds early on, but he's not getting that benefit right now. That first lap puts him 10th quickest at a 21:59. Got a little better here.
Pretty good one going here, though.
His second lap in the Nationwide car put him on the outside front row. What can happen here in the Cup car?
It'll be close.
4th quickest for Kyle Busch, up to a 21:435, so he improved it.
Missed 3 and 4 the second lap, killed it.
Yeah, you can see he got a little bit high. Look, he carried a lot of speed in there, and the car just didn't stay down the bottom of the racetrack. He'd run out of grip for that amount of speed with the tires, but still a good effort.
Next car to go out will be Ryan Newman. We talk about the pressure to get in the chase, and Ryan has been really good here in the spring, but in September he only has 2 top 10 finishes. Got to wonder why that big a discrepancy.
I don't know, because he's really good on these short tracks. Has been this year too with this race team, so I would look for a pretty solid effort. It's probably something that this race team really needed, was to come to a track like this where Ryan can excel. That's not saying that he's not good at anywhere that he goes, because he's obviously won on all kinds of tracks. See it picking up. He got off of turn 4 really good right there. It was a 21:59 for his first lap in 11th.
He has a pole here at Richmond back in 2004, this race in 2004, so he has started on the inside. Has a win here back in 2003.
Like the luck of the draw is definitely going to play some effect here with this sun shining on the racetrack.
Well, we've had a day of that. I mean, from the time that we started on TV this morning at 10 o'clock with cloud cover, and then it wouldn't be for a while. So you just don't know when you draw that number out of there. You think something's going to work to your advantage, and then it doesn't.
Well, the man who said he didn't need a cloud is coming up. Mark Martin, a 5-time pole sitter, getting ready to run momentarily. Casey Kane will be coming out, as will Matt Kenseth, Mr. Consistency. On the racetrack, the car number 19 out to qualify, Elliott Sadler. And a little bit of news, personal news from Elliott this week. They announced this week that he and wife Amanda would be expecting their first child coming up this March.
Yeah, Elliott's really excited. He called me a few weeks back and told me of the news. They weren't ready to tell everybody, but he and Amanda are extremely excited about getting their first child come along in March.
Have to get up on that wheel now. He's got another mouth to feed.
That's right.
Spoken like a true crew chief. And a little bit quicker second time by for Elliott, 21:78, and that'll put him 12th of the 16 cars that have gone out to qualify thus far. Dave Burns.
And they're pushing Matt Kenseth's car up to the line here. Matt has 3 top 10 starts here at Richmond. Matt, how about tonight based on practice?
For qualifying, I really don't have any idea. I guess it'll be a surprise. I think we were about 20th or something like that in our mock-up runs, and the car didn't feel that bad, but didn't have a lot of speed. So I'm going to go out here and get the best lap we can. It seems like everybody's picking up a lot, so hopefully we can get a good one.
Picking up a lot, that's what it's all about.
Here's a 12 car, David Stremme, and boy, he had a great qualifying effort and a very good run in Atlanta last week. And in practice today, folks, he was 8th quickest. We'll see if David, who's already been told he will not be back in this car in 2010, so he's auditioning for rides. Let's see what he can do here at Richmond.
That's usually worth a couple of tenths for a driver when he's out there looking for a ride, so we'll see what he's got. First lap, pretty good, though. 21:46.
Nice lap there. I was going to tell Matt Kenseth about it. He said his car felt good, but didn't have any speed. Darrell Walter told me one time, if it felt good, you probably weren't going fast enough. So need to make it feel worse so you can go faster.
Boy, nice smooth lap for Stremme coming out of turn 4. And
but you know what? It's just like you said nice and smooth, felt good. It's slow. He's slower than the first lap.
Oh, they're still chasing Martin Truex. He's at the top of the speed charts. Let's talk with him. Shannon.
Another fast weekend for Martin Truex Jr., who is also running in the Nationwide Series race. Same tire in the Nationwide race as this race. Anything that crosses over that you can learn about the tires?
Yeah, I think, you know, I learned some stuff in the Cup car today to help me in the Nationwide car for qualifying, because we struggled a little in the qualifying trim, so that definitely helped. You know, it's just fun to do it, really. There's not a whole lot you can information transfer, but, you know, more laps on the racetrack, you know, more laps, more things you can try with the tire and stuff, so. I don't think it hurt any, but certainly it wasn't, you know, help with the setup or anything like that.
And it's paying off so far. Martin Truex is on top of the speed charts. Stop.
Trying to win back-to-back poles at Atlanta and Richmond will be his 3rd pole of the year. Here's A.J. Allmendinger driving for the King, Richard Petty. Let's see what he can do.
That'd be 21:71 there for A.J. on that first lap. That'd be 13th quickest.
We mentioned earlier today in our practice show that the announcement coming out yesterday that Richard Petty Motorsports and Yates Racing would merge and be all in Fords for 2010. 4 drivers, A.J. Allmendinger, Elliott Sadler, Casey Kane, and Paul Menard would be those 4 drivers.
That picks up a couple of tenths on that second lap to a 51, which puts him 9th. Good effort by A.J.
ESPN college football continues tomorrow night as freshman quarterback Matt Barkley leads the USC Trojans into the Horseshoe, where they'll face the Buckeyes of Ohio State. 2 top 10 teams battling in a season-defining matchup with conference pride on the line. College football prime time presented by Hampton Hotels. Number 3 USC at number 8 Ohio State tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Yeah, I need to tape that, though. Be with us on ABC.
Got to be on ABC watching the chase, see who gets in.
We're going to have some excitement.
A lot of drama, and this guy's going to be part of it right here. Mark Martin on the racetrack, trying to get in a chase and trying to chase a championship in his 27th year.
Wow, best first lap we've seen today. 21:377. See, he's tracking in the green. He's a couple of hundredths up below the pole sitter right now into turn 3.
Gets out of it, back to the gas hard here. You get him the pole.
Okay, here we go.
What do you say? Who needs a cloud?
Well, he actually got a little bit of one.
And he's got the fastest time, too.
21:29.
But I did a 40 and a 30. I'm not sure what the real time is. Nice job.
It's a 2:92, Alan.
That's pretty good crew chief watts there.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for these race cars. Thank y'all.
Folks, that would be, if it holds up, his 6th pole of the year. And consider this about Mark Martin. Back in 1981, at the age of 22, in his very first start at Richmond, he sat on the pole here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they had to check his ID because he didn't look 22 when he came in here either, I promise you. He was a kid with his own race car and came in here and kind of turned the world upside down there sitting on the pole that day.
He looked 9 years old and finished 7th that day, by the way. Here's the Casey Kane, the winner from Atlanta last week, talking about looking young. This guy looks like he hasn't shaved yet.
But he knows how to drive.
Well, we know that. Big win last week.
Casey's first career victory as a NASCAR Sprint Cup driver came at this racetrack back in the spring of 2005, and he did it from the pole.
He's not really on a pole run here, but this is going to be tracking to be a better lap right now. That first one was 15th quickest.
I don't know. He's not going to miss it by a lot. A 35. He's 600 slower than Mark Martin.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, I can tell
Getting
that.
in turn 3, you can see that.
Casey Kane will be our in-race reporter here tomorrow night, so if you'd like to pose a question, we can ask Casey. Go log on to ESPN.com, search Ask the Driver to have your question answered by tomorrow's in-race reporter, Casey Kane. And DJ will select one. I'm putting it all on you. You'll select one and maybe ask Casey.
We'll take anything from about his chase hopes to if he has a girlfriend, whatever you want to ask him. We'll find
you're
out.
opening up a whole can of worms there. I'm sure he will appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'll probably get a call on that.
Here's a couple of guys having fun. Tony Stewart coming off that third win in the Prelude to the Dream up in Eldora on Wednesday night. Current points leader, and let's see what 88 can do here. Dale Earnhardt Jr., a three-time winner at Richmond.
He spent most of the practice session, the final practice session, at the bottom of the speed charts. Jumped up right there at the end. So they were working on a lot of race stuff.
It's only because we called him out.
Yeah, we called him out, and he jumped straight to the top.
Hey, these guys are getting no break, though. That's 16th quickest for Earnhardt. That's a 71 on his first lap. But they're getting no break with this sunshine down in turn 1. Turn 3 and 4 is about what we would have expected, but turns 1 and 2 are full of sunshine and not getting any more grip down there.
So Earnhardt Jr. will log in right now 11th of the 21 cars that have gone, and the guy at the top of the charts again right now for the 6th time this year, Mark Martin. Shannon.
Well, what a great qualifying effort for Mark Martin. You told me earlier in the day that you would have been happy with the top 5, so you must be very happy with what you have right now. Do you think it'll stick?
Well, I think the track's going to get faster, but I'm real happy with that lap. I really want to thank Alan and everybody on the 5 team, and of course our supporters, Kellogg's CarQuest and Chevrolet, and everybody that supports us. Mr. Hendrick, my family. Gosh, this is fun. There's a lot of pressure. I'm real proud of that lap. I know the track's going to get a little bit better, but we laid down a great lap, had a reasonable draw, and got a great lap, and we're going to have a good race car tomorrow night, and I'll be glad when midnight comes tomorrow night.
Definitely been a dream season for Mark Martin so far, Doc.
No doubt about it. The 50-year-old ageless wonder trying to become NASCAR's oldest champion if he can pull it off here in 2010. Here's Matt Kenseth, who won a championship back in 2003. He has the only pole for a Ford this year, that coming at Darlington.
He's not going to be happy with this lap.
No, this isn't exactly what they were looking for. He's picking it up some here. That first one was 20th, and that's 17th quickest there.
Boy, that's not where you want to start this thing off on that bubble spot. Going to have a lot of work to do Saturday night. Let's go down to Dave with Tony Stewart.
Thank you, Andy. I was going to ask Tony if he wants any part of Mark Martin's 21-29. That's a pretty stout lap.
I'd love to take all of it, actually. So if you don't mind, if you can convince him to let me have it, I'll take all of it.
You qualify, and then we just swap times? Either way? What if yours is better?
I'll still swap with him. I'll take that gamble right now. No, we're pretty good. I don't know if I got a 29 in me, but that's why I'll go ahead and take his. And if I were lucky enough to run like a 10 or 15 or something, I'd just give it to him no matter where we end up.
Championship leader Tony Stewart, Doc.
Tony Stewart getting ready to go out. Let's see what Jimmy Johnson can do here on the track. Jimmy has won the last 2 fall races here at Richmond, has won 3 times in the last 5 times we have been here. Yeah, he's pretty good at this place.
Well, he's got to pull some out here on this second lap, which he's doing.
So far, so good.
What we thought some of these guys might do, just not attack and overheat those tires in that first lap, knowing that second lap was going to definitely be better for them.
Right there at it, coming back up.
It's going the right way, coming off the corner, just not quite enough.
Might get him on the front row, no. Second row, outside. Jimmy Johnson, 4th right now, 21.337. So right now it is Mark Martin and Martin Truex Jr. on the front row. NASCAR Sprint Cup pole qualifying continuing at Richmond, and 30-year-old Sam Hornish on the racetrack. Sam had a very good run here back in May, ran in the top 5 and finished 6th in his Dodge. He's had 2 top 5 finishes the last 5 races, with the 4th at Pocono and the 5th at Michigan. This young man, former IRL champion, has really come on this year.
I've heard Rusty say that it takes about 3 years to really fulfill your potential in this sport. It's just so hard to learn this thing. And coming from a completely different form of racing for Sam, I think he's done a great job, really.
He really is. He's doing a very good job. Picks up just a little bit on that second lap. Moves him up to 19th. He might not be extremely happy with that.
Yep, looks like he got some little smoke out the exhaust there. I don't know if that's anything to worry about.
I just always wondered, Yeah, I've talked to him before, and when they ran IRL cars here, they run wide open around this 3/4 of a mile racetrack pretty much. And, you know, did he have any inclination that he needed to go out there and run wide open with a stock car, you know?
He wouldn't have that but once, I don't think.
No, it wouldn't take him long.
Let's go down and visit with Joey Logano. Hey,
Yep, standing by, contemplating what is about to happen here in qualifying. Joey, what is about to happen here for you in the 20 car?
Hopefully put this thing on the pole. We'll see. I got a pretty good Home Depot Toyota here. It's just gonna be really close. The field's gonna be really close. It was in practice, so hopefully no mistakes and hit everything just right. Maybe hit some cloud cover just right and land on a good lap of this thing.
You know, Doc, he mentioned something we've talked about here before. The times are all bunched together so close at this track.
They are very close here, and it's typical short track racing, which is why the fans love coming here so much. Here's Marcos Ambrose. Last time he was on a short track, he finished 3rd at Bristol.
Looks like he may have overdriven turn 1 just a little bit. Looked like it hurt his lap down the backstretch the second time by, but he is going to pick it up a little. Up to 13th, 21.50.
He finished.
You can see there where he might have overdrove 1. He learned down there, and he got out of it a little sooner in 3 and made a really good run off of turn 4. It helped his lap time.
He ran well here back in the spring. He qualified outside the top 20, but moved into about 15th and ran there much of the day and ended up finishing 11th. So talk about the learning curve working for another driver. We mentioned Marcos Ambrose getting better and better. And here's a guy that doesn't have to learn much at all. He knows this place cold, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, you could learn a lot from him, actually, at this place or any place we go to. See what David Gilliland can do in Robbie Gordon's number 7 here.
Robbie Gordon out west running an off-road race, trying to win an off-road championship on the 20th anniversary of his first off-road title. Turning the car over to California driver David Gilliland here for this one race.
Gilliland drove the 21 car at Atlanta, finished 19th last weekend. He's like a hired gun here. He's
and he will run 3 races before the year's out for a 4th Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota.
He's going to pick it up a little bit on this second lap. That'll be up to the 20th spot at a 21.68. About a 2/10 second pickup on that second lap. That's about the most that we've seen anybody pick up on that second lap. Shannon, what's Mr. Jimmy Johnson have to say about his lap?
Well, we may be a little premature, but Jimmy Johnson has a birthday coming up next week, 34th birthday next Thursday. So do you think you'll be able to celebrate your birthday with a win, another win here at Richmond?
I hope so. It is out there. I keep trying to forget about it. 34, I feel like I'm 24, and I certainly act like it. So, getting older, but having a great time in the Sprint Cup Series. And great race around there qualifying. The Lowe's car's been good all day long, and I wish I could have had a little bit more speed, but everybody's going to climb out of their car and say that too. So, very good lap for Lowe's and Paula, and I know we're going to be great for race trim. And it's a sad day with 9/11, and then on top of that, we had someone in the Charlotte area pass away in a plane crash, skipper back, and just wanted his family and friends to know that my thoughts and prayers with them as well.
Absolutely, it's a somber day here at Richmond. Everyone's thoughts and prayers going out to all the 9/11 victims. Duck?
We indeed echo those sentiments from Jimmy and everyone watching and listening at home. Here is David Reagan trying to qualify his car. Been a very difficult year, to put it mildly, for David Reagan, but back at a racetrack, Andy, where he has run very well in the past.
Oh, man, he got a 3rd place finish here in 07. And if you remember last year, he was right outside the chase cutoff trying to get into the chase. Had a few incidents here, but he had a chance of making the chase last year.
Qualifying ongoing here at Richmond International Raceway. When we come back in a moment, we're going to see what a rookie can do here. Joey Logano can slice bread, get it done. How about the veteran, Jeff Gordon and Reed Sorensen? Qualifying ongoing, and smoke trailing from beneath the 34 car of John Andretti on his entire first lap. Now his second lap by. We'll see what Andretti can do. That was his warm-up lap, by the way. He had smoke on the car. This is his actually second qualifying lap. He ran a 22.16, which is the slowest of the 28 cars that have gone out thus far.
Yeah, he started it off wrong by locking that left front tire up, getting into turn 3. And that can never be good. Put a flat spot on that tire, and it's not going to give you the grip you're looking for.
Gains a couple of spots up on that lap. 21.84 puts him 26 of the 28 cars that have gone thus far. Again, there are 44 cars here. 43 will start, so only one will have to go home. But just joined our coverage. Mark Martin is right now on the pole. He ran a 21:29. Martin Truex Jr. is second. Denny Hamlin third. Jimmy Johnson fourth. And Casey Kane fifth. So we got 3 Chevys, a Toyota, and a Dodge in the top 5. Here's the 2-time champ and current points leader, Tony Stewart.
Always been one of Tony's favorite racetracks, and talking to him, and his record obviously shows that too, but really likes the challenge that this track presents and knows the field that he's looking for in his car. Let's see what he's got for qualifying.
I don't know. I've seen many tracks that Tony Stewart wasn't good at, though. He is a very talented race car driver and good almost everywhere we go, virtually everywhere we go.
Boy, 3 wins here, Andy. 4 times he's finished second. In fact, the last 4 races he's been here, his worst finish is 4th. First lap didn't get it. It was a 21:75, and the second lap a little bit quicker, just up to a 21:665, which puts him 21st.
Well, he'll have to do this, and if he's going to make a good run out of this, by passing a lot of cars. But he does that. He's really good at that too. So we'll have fun watching him as he attempts to gain 10 more bonus points. That's basically what tomorrow night's about for him.
Tony's last win at Watkins Glen 3 races ago, and the last 3 times he's been in a car, he's not had a top 10 finish. So, but as we talked about earlier, I think they're getting ready for the chase, maybe taking a deep breath, saying, okay, we got one more. If we can get the win here at Richmond, then the chase begins at New Hampshire. Here is a Virginia driver, Jeff Burton, and if you talk to Jeff, he'll always tell you this is one of his favorite racetracks.
Well, he's got 14 top 10 finishes here in 30 races, so yeah, the numbers show it too, and 8 top 5s.
He ran a lot of laps in that final practice session, the most of anyone. Ran 64. He was only 22nd fastest in that practice session. Like his car slid up in the center of the turns 1 and 2 in that first lap. That was only 28th quickest. See if he can pick it up. You can see he's tracking be a little bit better this time. Oh yeah, picks it up quite a bit to 18th at a 21:55.
Tight to the middle and free on exit.
Him say his car was tight in the center of the corner, wouldn't turn. That's why he wasn't able to keep it right around the bottom, but then he wanted to get loose on the exit of the corner.
You're watching NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying right now, but coming up momentarily at the conclusion of our qualifying, we'll have live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Richmond. That's coming up next. Front row for that one, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond. Final race to determine who gets in the chase. Live coverage on ABC beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with NASCAR Countdown. NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy. That's pre-race edition tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. And the post-race edition at 11:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2 to wrap up the weekend and tell you who's in the chase and who doesn't make it. Here's a driver, the 00 David Rudeman, that mathematically still has a shot to get in, but it's going to take a lot of help from other people.
Yeah, it's going to take some fuzzy math to do it. He's got a lot of points to make up. Not likely to happen for David Rudeman, but this is a good racetrack for him. Remember this race last year, he led 104 laps, which is about half of the laps he's led in his career here at this track. So he's going to have to pass a lot of cars to get the lead Saturday night.
Yeah, I was just telling you, I thought he might be one that got the pole or would challenge for that pole position, but didn't make that happen there.
Let's go down and visit with Dave Burns standing by with Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski already qualified 5th for the nationwide race tonight. The 09 car, how will it be in qualifying trim, Brad?
Well, I don't know. It was pretty decent in practice. We ran like a 21:90 or something, and we've been about a 10th or 10th and a half off the pole, so I would be thrilled if we could repeat that. I feel like this is a pretty decent little car and good opportunity for me to get experience and to grow as a driver. So I got to thank Mikasuki and James Finch for that opportunity because it's really helped me out a lot here just to grow, and I feel already like I'm better in the nationwide car because of it. So it's pretty cool. I'm thankful for it.
Putting it in the show will be his 9th start of the season. Remember, one of those was a W, Talladega.
Got the big win at Talladega for James Finch. Here's Jamie McMurray on the racetrack, and Jamie has run well here. His name coming up in a lot of seats and vacancies. Not a lot, but there's a few vacancies right now for 2010, and he's at or near the top of about everybody's list.
Yeah, certainly a very talented race driver. Just looking for something to do next year and get himself in a good situation. Had a really good lap
Way tighter
going
than
there.
I was in practice. Way tighter.
Hear him say his car's way tighter than he was in practice. Might have been the reason he couldn't get it turned down and turned in the middle of turn 3, but that'll be 21st at 21:57 for Jamie.
His best finish of the year actually came here back in May. He had a 7th-place finish all the way from 27th starting spot. The 20 car, Joey Logano, out to qualify. He leads the Rebestis Rookie of the Year point standings over Scott Speed. He has the victory at New Hampshire earlier in the year, becoming the youngest driver to ever win a NASCAR Sprint Cup competition in 19 years, 1 month and 4 days. See what he does at Richmond.
He sounded pretty confident when we interviewed him down there on pit road about getting the pole.
He sounded like he was going to be the man, didn't he?
That's half the battle.
That up. That's right. Yeah,
the confidence factor.
That's a good part of it, for sure.
Okay, the other half's going to be this second lap. That first one was only 25th at 21:68.
He can pick up 4/10. He's got Mark Martin.
Yeah, not a tall order.
Not going to happen, doesn't look like.
That's going to be pretty tough.
Mirror in that first lap. Maybe a little bit quicker.
$21.63.
You know, I'd rather have a driver who believes he's going to get it done than someone who's questioning and doubting his abilities.
Yeah, but you know, it kind of works both ways. You see Mark Martin sometimes just, you know, he'll talk like he doesn't have a good car, this, that, and the other, and bam, there he is. But I do like the enthusiasm in Joey Logano.
Let's visit with Scott Speed. Dave.
And one of the tracks that he gets to come to for a second time, and that seems pretty critical for a guy that's learning. How big was it for you this weekend?
So far, we're, you know, I feel more comfortable anyways, and it's certainly been the case in the last weekends, you know, last 7 or 8 weeks. You know, we've definitely shown a big improvement to where we were at the beginning of the year, so it certainly helps. We had a great qualifying effort here last time, so hopefully we can at least match it, and we'll be happy with that.
That was an 8th place starting spot last time, Doc.
And he starts 9th in the nationwide race tonight. Here's Jeff Gordon out in the 24 car, trying to qualify. Get his car possibly in the top 4 or 5 and get another W. Remember, he has the 1 win this year. That coming at Texas when he snapped that 47 race winless streak.
I'm going to guess that this race car is loose. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but just watching the progression of that first lap of how it fell off, it was pretty good down to the middle of 1 and 2, but from that point on, it fell off quite a bit. It's like it's coming to him a little bit more now.
Whoa. That wall about came to him.
Yeah, he did.
7th.
Yeah, big pickup there.
Picked up 2.5 tenths there, a little more.
Jeff's a 2-time winner here at Richmond and 5-time pole sitter here, but he's also very good at anywhere that they go to on a NASCAR short track.
I expected the track to get faster as we went. These late qualifiers are really not getting the advantage of a cooler racetrack that we kind of expected.
There's the short track standouts. You see Gordon, 15-time winner. Jimmy Johnson is there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. very good. 4 wins. 3 of them have come on this racetrack.
Kyle Busch, he would love to add to that total of his tomorrow night for sure.
I think the mere fact that Kyle Busch has got to be as aggressive as he has to be, and so does Brian Vickers, is going to make this one tomorrow night probably one of the most fun races to watch we've had here in a long time at Richmond.
For us. Maybe not for Matt Kenseth, some of the other ones that are on the bubble, but yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Here's Reed Sorensen on the racetrack driving that famous number 43 for the King, Richard Petty. Let's see what Reed can do.
That first lap for Reed was 25th at 21:65. He's on a better pace here. Much better pace.
Top 15 qualifying efforts the last 2 races. 10th at Bristol, 13th at Atlanta, and 10th right now here at Richmond. So that could be 3 top 10 qualifying or top 15 qualifying efforts in a row if that holds up. Right now, 35 cars have gone, and they are all chasing Mark Martin. Martin trying to hold on to what may be his 6th pole of the year. Pole qualifying continues. Max Pappas out in the 13 car. Toyota Camry, Germain Racing, and Max recorded his best finish of his career thus far in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition, 8th at Watkins Glen just 4 weeks ago. Max right now clocking in the slowest of the 36 cars that have run thus far. Shannon.
Well, Jeff Gordon just climbing out of his car. I heard another driver on the radio say that the sun coming into turn 3 gave him a little bit of a problem. Did you experience any of that in your car?
Well, you know, that's the thing about a late draw. The late draw offers great conditions for the track, but the sun definitely can play an effect. I just tried to get a good mark coming to take the green and went from there, and didn't seem to be too much of an issue. Our DuPont National Guard, Chevrolet's been good all day. Been real proud of the team, and I don't know, I feel like we missed it just a little bit there. I got in the corner a lot deeper than I was in practice, and it just changed the balance of the car quite a bit. So decent lap, but you know, we're really excited about having the Wounded Warriors on board with National Guard. They do some great things for the soldiers when they come back that have been injured over there, and we appreciate them and certainly all the soldiers out there. So hopefully we can make something out of this for the rest of the weekend.
Well, you heard him. He said a decent lap. Jeff Gordon looking for his 3rd win here at Richmond.
Right now, Jeff Gordon sitting 7th. Here's Brad Keselowski. Same team he won with at Talladega. James Finch.
Solid run.
Wow.
9th place, 21:44.
Yeah, he said they'd only been about a 10th off the fastest time the whole day, so that's a 10th and a half off of what Mark Martin ran, so really good effort.
Would be his 9th start of the season. He has 6 NASCAR Nationwide Series races here and 1 NASCAR Camping World Truck race. He's got lots of experience at this racetrack, and not in the Cup car, but in the other cars. That probably helped him a little bit as well.
And having that time on the racetrack probably makes some of these guys that are trying to make that chase tomorrow night feel a lot better racing around Brad, because he's been out there quite a bit.
Now, these are the guys that have to get in on time and speed, what we call the go-or-go homers. Max Pappas was the first one, Brad Keselowski, and now Dave Blaney. So there are 9 total. Dave is the 3rd of that 9 to go out.
Dave's been really good at getting this car in the races this year, making good qualifying efforts.
See, we're comparing his time to Max Pappas. Right now, Max is the slowest of the go-or-go homers. And like I said, only 1 of them are going home.
So all he has to do is beat Max and he's in. Right now he didn't do it on that first lap.
He hasn't done it yet. Looks like he's on track to do it this lap.
Yeah, picked it up quite a bit there. Made a nice 1 and 2. Got a couple of tenths edge right there coming out of turn 4.
And Dave Blaney will put himself in the field for tomorrow night's Chevy Rock and Roll 400.
70, good for 30th currently. Max Pappas is last.
Overall speed, that puts him in 30th position. Former World of Outlaws champion Dave Blaney. Next to go out will be Joe Nemechek. And earlier today in the practice session, the guy we nicknamed Front Row Joe many years ago because he somehow always managed to put a car on the front row. Some of those were your cars, Andy, by the way.
He's a fast cat. He was the fastest car in the first practice session today. So let's see what Joe's got. And he's doing this on a shoestring budget with not a lot of people. He slipped a little bit over there in turns 1 and 2, but looks like he's still on track to beat Max Pappas.
One of the drivers doing double duty. He'll race in the Nationwide Series race coming up next. 92 NASCAR Nationwide Series champ.
You'd like to hear that sound right there. That's the rev limiter getting into turn 1.
That pretty much tells the driver that he did a pretty good job getting off of turn 4 and carried a lot of speed down the front straightaway. So that's, you're not wanting to have to drive it to hear that sound. You want it to come
hear it early.
Yeah.
So he has locked himself in the field here now at 33rd position. So right now it is a 0-9 of Keselowski, Blaney, and Nemechek, the 3 that are locked in among the go-or-go homers. Final cars qualifying at Richmond. Here's the 37 car of Tony Raines. He's got to go out and beat a 21.99. That's the time he has to beat to get into the field. Only 1 car will go home. And Tony Raines that time didn't do it. He ran a 22.46.
He's got to pick up quite a bit here. It's going to be a little over 4.5 tenths if he's going to make his way in right now. He's battling for it right here, but
it's going the wrong way. Looks like this is going to lock Max Pappas in the field, though, and it does.
Wow, and Mad Max Pappas gets in here at Richmond. Tony Raines puts himself squarely on the bubble. Still 4 cars left to qualify. Scott Speed, Regan Smith, Michael McDowell, and Mike Bliss. If you just joined our coverage, Mark Martin right now on the provisional pole. Can't believe anybody's going to beat him at this point, but you never know. 21.292 for Martin. Martin Truex Jr. second. Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Casey Kane the top 5. Here's Scott Speed, who qualified his best start of the year was on the outside front row at Chicagoland. Let's see what he can do here at Richmond. We are comparing him now to Mark Martin, our pole sitter, and you see he's not a threat for the pole, at least that time by.
Still a pretty good first lap coming up here. 21.68.
And DJ, if he can pick it up the way others have done on lap 2, he's probably going to put himself in the top 25.
Yeah, he definitely, he can make a top 20 run out of this. You see right now he's tracking, well, he was in the top 20, but looks like around 21st, 20th now.
Picks up a 10th and a half.
21.528 for Scott Speed. ESPN college football continues tomorrow night. The Trojans of USC take on the Buckeyes of Ohio State at the Horseshoe. 2 top 10 teams battling in a season-defining matchup with conference pride on the line. How about that, you Pac-10 fans and you Big Ten fans? College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Number 3 USC headed to number 8 Ohio State at 8 o'clock Eastern time. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Reigning Rookie of the Year, Regan Smith in a 78 car. What impressed me last year about Regan Smith's rookie run is he ran 35 races, didn't run the season opener at Daytona, and did not have a single DNF the entire season.
That's pretty impressive for any rookie. He's only got, this would be his actual 13th start of 09, but that was a good rookie season last year.
And here's even a more important stat for him. He has never had a DNF in 53 starts as a Cup driver.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, he locks himself in there, picks up on the second lap to a 21.78 to get in there in 34th.
So 2 left to go. Michael McDowell and Mike Bliss, and on the hot seat not to make it is Tony Raines. There goes the 36 car. '25-year-old Michael McDowell out of Phoenix. 2 Cup races here, both in 2008. Finished 20th last September, driving for Michael Waltrip.
He drives it hard into turn 1. You can see just a little trail of smoke where he was just before locking that left front tire up.
Yeah, you can see he carried that speed there, but it hurt his straightaway speed down the back stretch. See if he can pick it back up here. Exit of turn 4. Needs just a little bit to lock in.
Not yet.
Missed that by a 100th of a second right there.
Got to be to 22.12, 22.124.
He's got a little cushion here now getting into turn 3, so if he can just bring it home, he'll make the race.
Yeah, he's got it headed in the right direction there now. He'll make it by a couple of tenths.
So he is in there in 40th position.
Thank you. 21.92, bud. Thank you very much.
You got a guy coming up here that's great qualifier, especially on these short tracks in Richmond in particular. Mike Bliss. He's our last qualifier.
Mike Bliss will start 24th tonight in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Again, that is coming up next here at Richmond International Raceway.
He was 18th in happy hour.
Driving the 71 car owned by Kevin Buckler. Team that started just about 9 days before the Daytona 500 this year. A put this team together, bought some equipment, used equipment from Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. They rent engines from ECR Earnhardt Childress.
See there, he drove it just a little hard into turn 3. You can see that left front lock up just slightly.
Well, he's got himself into the race for sure. The 21.82. See what he can do on this second lap now.
I actually expected him to run a faster lap than that. I thought he might even have a shot at getting a top 15 start.
You know, teams like this, they sometimes don't have all the little tricks and do all the little things that some of the others to make those qualifying effort, but he does pick it up about 1,300ths up to 31st spot.
And Tony Raines will not make the field.
So it is official now. Mark Martin, who went out 20th in qualifying, has picked up his 6th pole of 2009. We'll come back to wrap it up in a moment. Qualifying in Richmond is history for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series cars, and 50-year-old Mark Martin has picked up his 47th career pole, 4th at Richmond and 6th of 2009. Dave.
And I believe that will make him very pleased. Mark, you have the best starting spot tomorrow night.
Oh, man, and the best pit stall and the best race team. And, golly, this is huge, huge. Pressure's off. You know, tried to go approach today like there was no pressure, but there was. And now I get to relax till tomorrow night.
And then we get to ask you the pressure questions again, because you can write your own destiny by finishing 12th or better to clinch, but there's 42 other cars out there.
Oh, man. You know, we've got the performance. The car's good, but I've been saying that all along. The things that we can't control are the ones that worry us, you know. And, I mean, I've got a little breathing room. I've got a great race car. I'd rather have the breathing room that I have and the race car that I have than anything else. And but, you know, we've got to go race for it, and anything can happen, so we'll see.
All right, with that 6th pole of the season, Doc, you know, they've already used that first pit stall pick to their advantage, and they will do it again tomorrow night.
So Mark Martin will lead him down, and who will follow him as he comes to the green flag? Let's take a look and show you here. Martin Truex Jr., who's just missed his 2nd pole in a row here. He'll start outside of row 1, and there's Brian Vickers, some of the bubble guys, starting with good spots.
Yeah, and that'll make them breathe easier. But Brad Keselowski starting inside the top 10.
See Reed Sorensen and David Stremme with good qualifying efforts there by those guys. Montoya, who's needing a good run there, going to be starting in the 14th spot.
Ryan Newman needing to be able to stay in the top 12. Remember Biffle, he had the slide last week. He needs to have a good run there. Matt Kenseth on the bubble, 12th in the points, starting back in the middle of the field. And Max Pappas makes it in the 13 car as the 43rd and final starter. Guys, lots of motorsports set to come your way. Coming up next, NASCAR Nationwide Series action at Richmond International Raceway live on ESPN2. Front row, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. And of course, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ABC, NASCAR Countdown, the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond, and Mark Martin will lead him down to the green flag. NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy tomorrow. That's our pre-race edition. We'll set the stage, talk about some of the breaking stories and news, and speculate who we think will get in the chase. That's 9 Eastern time in the morning. And then the wrap-up show, 11:30 Eastern time on ESPN2. Well, we've had appetizers throughout the day, folks. We've had practice and we've had qualifying. And now it is time for the main entree of the evening, NASCAR Nationwide action. Let's go down to NASCAR Countdown and Alan Bestwick.